take me to that moment where you're going, I got to do something more than just this. What was going on emotionally? What were you feeling at that time? And just explain that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the interesting part is, it hasn't always been this way. Just like any entrepreneur, I've had massive failures. And in 2018, I had was about to exit my company, and I guess I'll share it on this podcast. The exit happened, but it wasn't pretty. I had lost a significant amount of money that I thought was going to happen. I had a mentor at the time who, in our exit contract, there was one line that my lawyer didn't catch, and he basically took the next 2 years and used the entirety of the profits of the business to scale the company up. And so the business showed a zero profit, which I made a specific deal with them that I would take a percentage of profit, which anybody listening who, if you exit a company, never do that.
Yeah.
Always take a set number, take a set multiple. I was young at the time, and so it kind of put me back massively, because at the time I actually, that year, while I was getting prepared to exit, I had started doing a ton of content. I made, I think, 700 videos all across different platforms. And then I was on a bunch of podcasts. I was, basically going to create this group, a different group, which I won't mention the name on here. But honestly, I think that it was actually supposed to happen, because as everyone knows on here, when you look back, it all makes sense, right? And when you're in it, it sucks. But every time I look back at that moment, I realized, one, I wasn't mature enough at the time to handle the success that was coming. I also, my wife and I weren't in a great position in our marriage. Honestly, we probably would have divorced each other. And it's very interesting how that had to happen. And then over the last, call it, I think, what is it, since 2018 and now, so 7-8 years, we rebuilt. But not only did we rebuild our financial situation, our marriage is stronger than ever. Awesome. We have two young kids, 9 and 7, and we're blessed. The kids are amazing. And so along the way, though, one of the keys that I saw was that I didn't really have anywhere to go. And I'll be honest with you, just like all men out there, high achievers, you don't want to look weak. Yeah. So frankly, I didn't really even tell people that the exit didn't go well. A lot of people assumed that it did. And so I put up a front and, just kind of led through that world, which is not a great place to be when you're kind of, I had a phenomenal mentor after that. And even with him, I was so weak that I didn't want to share with him the situation. Wow. And he could have helped me immensely. And so I think that for men listening, on this podcast, the biggest thing is just know that it's okay to, it's okay. You're not weak. It's just you need someone that you can go to. And that's why we created the Lighthouse Brotherhood specifically, is because we want to have basically a group that we've selected, sure, or they self-select, however we want to look. And we're talking about these things so we can help high achieving men through some of the struggles they're facing, where in most life, you're not going to go to your church and tell all your buddies that your marriage is struggling. Yeah. Instead, what's going to happen is that divorce creeps up, and then everyone's like, wait, what happened? Yeah. How did that happen? Right. Yeah. So that's kind of the scenario, but it's been awesome. So looking back now with God specifically kind of working through this, lots of magic, if you want to call it, but it's really God. Relationships came out of nowhere, cool. Finances kicked back in. And I'm a big believer in the parable, the 11th hour parable, right? Where, God will always give you back, or 10 to 100x what you lost. And, and I think that I had to go through that, to basically get to where I'm at today, where again, I feel like a much more complete guy versus back then I was still insecure and I would have done stupid stuff with my money.
No, I hear that. And man, as you're talking, I'm thinking of so many things in my life. I was one that went through divorce, lost everything that I thought was, and as a man of faith, I was like, oh, God's got me the whole time. Like nothing's going to happen. And all of a sudden it all falls apart and you go, what the heck? And your life gets flipped upside down. And for me, it was a marriage, but for other guys out there, it might be business. Like that one line in the contract for you that literally uprooted everything that you thought you had. And there's so many times and there's so many moments in our life that we think, oh, we got this, we're good, everything's solid. And then when it flips upside down, it breaks apart everything that we hold true. And what I love about your story, Matt, is what I'm hearing is the breaking down, the replanting of who you were was actually what allowed you to grow and become who you are being today, and actually allowed you to become the artist that you're starting to be today. And again, around here, art doesn't mean just creativity and painting and whatnot. No, it's the art of your life and the things that you're getting to do now. The paintbrush strokes of your life now become so beautiful because of that breaking down. And so let's talk a little bit about what you were saying about how men struggle so much to be honest in those moments of, like, I mean, we might have a friend circle, we might have a church group, we might have those that we work with day in and day out, but we have a hard time looking at them and saying, I'm struggling, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. One, why do you think that is? And two, what do you think we should do about it?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and I appreciate this question, Darren, and you nailed it, is as specifically, and again, obviously all men, but high achievers specifically, right? Most of our lives, we've been this way. Let's be transparent. Like, whether it was through sports, school, and I'm not saying every single high achiever was a high achiever as a kid, but oftentimes it's the case. So our whole life, we've won in some capacity, right? And we've also been told, by coaches sometimes, or maybe parents, fathers, right? Hey, don't be weak, don't cry. Boys don't, hey, listen, you're a man, dude, like, man up, just, and we still see the memes out there. I don't know if anybody sees them. Obviously there's a good push right now for men specifically, but I also will say that for about a decade, men were looked at as toxic masculinity, right? Which, from a perspective, yes, there's horrible people out there. There's bad guys that are doing bad things. But what ended up happening is traditional manhood kind of got roped into the toxic word. And it's like, taking care of your family, being, respectable in the community. But as we all know, so what happened when I was doing that Stud Muffin group chat, what kind of came up with this is all the guys in that group, and also every high achieving man, like you just shared one of your vulnerable points, Darren, every single high achiever I've ever met, they have something, right? And I know that that's part of our journey on earth, like that, we're supposed to go through some stuff so we can learn and our soul can learn and we can go back to heaven, and it's amazing. But also note that, from a male perspective, anybody who's watching this just knows, like, it's just simple. You don't want to look weak. Like, you don't want to be the guy who, you don't want to look like you can't handle stuff. Right. And so, like you said, all those groups that were a part of the softball leagues that I'm in, I'm in a softball league. I'm not going to show up on a Monday night and be like, hey guys, my wife and I had a fight last night, and no, we're just there high fiving and hitting hitting softballs. And we're chatting about the Chicago Cubs and it's like in its surface level kind of scenarios. And I think we were just taught that way, Darren, as men, to just fight through it, put your head down. No one's coming to save you. All these things that we hear all the time now. And I'm like, well, that's a good message, but it's also pretty faulty, because there's a lot of people who come to save us all the time. And people come out of nowhere. And I'm sure you have people that have popped up out of nowhere and have helped you through these challenges, right?
Yeah, so for sure. And I think the biggest growth area in my life always stemmed from the ability to be vulnerable enough to reach across the table and say, I'm struggling, or I need help, or whatever, right? And those moments are the moments that change everything, if you will.